Thank you for joining us. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm your host, Daniel Davis. So here we are approaching the end of February. So how many people have actually stayed with their New Year's resolutions? Have you lost that 10 pounds you were interested in? Have you stopped smoking? Are you on your way to building your own small business so then that way you can prosper on your own even in today's bad economy? Why is it that other people seem to achieve their goals faster than others? Well, that's what we're going to explore today as we talk about something simply known as motivational DNA. Joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program is our guest, who is the co-founder and executive vice president of the Get Motivated Incorporated, which is a large seminar, where it's the world's largest business seminars that go around and they basically get people motivated. And she's joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today to talk about her new book, Get Motivated. And I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program, Tamara Lowe. Tamara, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Daniel. It's great to be here. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. What does it take to get motivated to do those kind of seminars? Because I know we attended one in Portland, Oregon, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was amazing what kind of speakers that you were able to bring together at this event.
Oh, it's just phenomenal, really. We just had one yesterday, day before yesterday, in Sacramento. We had Rudy Giuliani and Colin Powell and Michael Phelps, and just one dynamic speaker after another. We cover everything from business skills to communication, relationships, networking. It's just such a phenomenal, fun day.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you get started with all of this?
Well, I actually gave my first motivational speech when I was 4 years old. My parents were involved in a network marketing group, and I don't know, I guess they just found out I had no fear of public speaking, and next thing you know, I'm on stage speaking, and people are cheering, and I don't know if I was just a cute little thing or actually a good speaker, but I do know that I've been in love with the audience ever since, so it's a lot of fun.
And 25 years of being a public speaker and motivator, you've probably experienced a whole range of things, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. It's like live television, right? It's like doing radio. Just anything can happen, and it usually does.
Isn't that a fact? Now, let's talk about your book, Get Motivated. One of the things that I've always been curious about is the fact that there are a lot of books out there about how to achieve success and the 7 steps and the secrets, and everybody's got, a how-to, this and that and the other. But even though people spend time and money on these things, it seems that some people just accelerate and get to where they want to get to faster than others. Now, why is that?
Well, what we did was a 8-year study, and we studied over 10,000 people, and I really just started it based on my own curiosity. I didn't know that it was going to turn into a system. I had no idea that I was going to end up writing a book about it. But what we discovered is that everybody is motivated differently, and we call it motivational DNA, which stands for drives, needs, and awards. And so, Daniel, the thing that motivates you is probably not the same thing that motivates me. We each have a unique motivational code. And so actually our listeners can go online to getmotivatedbook.com, and you can take a free test right there online. It will take you less than 5 minutes to do, and it will actually tell you your motivational DNA. It tells you how you're wired to be inspired.
Mm-hmm. Now you say that there are different motivational types. Let's go ahead and explore what those are and how people can come to understand, just based on what we're talking about here, what they can kind of discover what their motivational type is and get some clues as to what they can do about it.
Sure. Well, motivational DNA, as I said, it's drives, needs, and awards, and everybody has a primary drive for either production or connection. So we'll find that people are generally either task-oriented or people-oriented, and that's your drive. Under needs are stability and variety. Stabilizers enjoy routine, organization, system, structure. They want consistency. And variables are quite the opposite. They love new things, new challenges, new experiences, new people, spontaneity, adventure. And under awards, people are generally motivated by either an internal or an external award system. Internals are motivated by contribution, leaving a legacy. Everybody wants to be paid a fair wage for their work, but
Sure.
Internals are motivated by outcome rather than income. Externals aren't the complete opposite, though. Externals also care about contribution, but what really motivates externals is tangible benefits and material awards. They want the corner office, the Rolex, the yacht. That's what just makes them feel esteemed and valued. That's what motivates them.
Mm-hmm. Now, as people try to discover what their motivational type is, now you talk about the tools that you have in your book that they can start to be able to use to harness to get them onto the track to where they want to go. Let's talk about how those work.
Okay. Well, Get Motivated is actually 4 books in one. Part 1...
I noticed that one part of it was a cookbook, almost.
No, it's not, Daniel. You're funny. No, Part 1 is on how to motivate yourself. And so you go through, you take the motivational DNA test, and then learn how to apply what your motivational triggers are to your own life so that you can accelerate your success. And I'm telling you, it absolutely works. I mean, I proved it in my own life. I lost 25 pounds while writing the book just using the stuff.
My goodness, I didn't know a hand could do that much.
No, it was more than that, but it's just really applying those motivational strategies to your own life. Then you're not struggling against yourself. You're not fighting your own inclinations. So that's part 1, how to motivate yourself. Part 2 is on how to trigger peak performance in other people, learning how to motivate those who are around you. Part 3 is specifically on motivating children, everything from toddlers to young adults. We go through the whole range of childhood and show you the different motivators that are needed at each stage. And then Part 4, we take your toughest goal and walk you through it step by step and show you how to apply these principles to your toughest goal.
You know, when you talk about children, I find that pretty interesting. As I know that my wife has a challenge sometimes with her own son in school, just to get him, to show, not necessarily show up, but to do the work and turn it in. How do you begin to work with a child like that seems to lack their focus, on doing their homework, to get them motivated toward not only doing what sometimes they don't like to do, but being able to set up reward systems in such a way that they begin to really enjoy doing the work?
So that's it, and you've really hit on a key, is getting them to enjoy it, because as parents, our goal is really not to motivate our children. Our goal is to teach our children how to be self-motivated.
Right, I agree with that.
That's what Get Motivated does. So, I had the same experience. I have 2 children. Zach is 15, and I have a younger son named Blaze, who's 10. Now, when I was doing the research and writing the book, my children were younger. So a few years ago, I really came to an impasse with my older son because he didn't do very well in school, and quite honestly, he didn't care. It didn't matter what I said. I could nag him all day long to do his homework. He just
You heard I don't know a lot.
And so, I kind of just thought, well, I have one child who's motivated, my younger son, just very motivated, and my older one is unmotivated. But that wasn't the case, really. The problem was that I didn't know how to motivate my older son. The problem was not him, it was me. I actually have 2 very, very motivated children. So once I discovered what Zach's motivational DNA was, I'm telling you, Daniel, it was miraculous. It was stunning. That was actually the tipping point for me to decide to write this book, because in one semester, he went from a 2.8 grade point average to 4.0.
Wow.
Almost instantaneously. The kid who complained about every chore was suddenly cleaning up his room, offering to take out the trash. The kid who was introverted and shy, couldn't raise his voice above a whisper, tried out for the school play and landed the leading role.
It took
place so quickly, it was shocking. And that's the power of motivational DNA.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, how did you go about doing that? Just as a curiosity, because I know, as you said, there are different types, but what was it that you unlocked in yourself that caused this?
Mm-hmm. Well, what it was is that I discovered that Zach's primary drive is production. That's why he would buck the system. The kid is a natural leader. And so I noticed that he's very competitive, particularly with his best friend. And he and his best friend are both athletes and always competing, and the friend has a 4.0 grade point average. So I called the 2 of them together one day. I said, hey, listen, you're just about to start a new quarter, and I want to put a competition on the table for you 2. Bring me your report card at the end of the quarter, and whoever has the highest grade point average, I'm going to give them $200. Mm-hmm. Well, game on. I never had to tell my son one thing. That quarter, he went from 2.8 to 3.8. He did not win the prize. His friend won the prize. His friend had a 4.0. But the next semester, because he had learned to be self-motivated, I didn't offer any prize. He was a 4.0 that next quarter. He was a 4.0, and that was 3 years ago. We haven't seen a B or a C or anything like that on his report card in years. He's a 4.0 student now.
I think what's important, too, for, children to understand that is that, just getting the work done, that's the difference with the A students, is they just do what they're told. And wouldn't you agree that generally in achieving goals, that's one of the primary things that you need to do is just getting things done?
Oh, absolutely. Information without implementation is useless. It does you no good to have the information if you don't use it.
Agreed. Now, another thing that you talk about in your book, too, is how people can set up systems for themselves. And one of the most consistent things that I've heard is that when you're beginning to move in a direction, let's say that you want to start a small business, that you begin to make relationships and connections with like-minded people.
Well, I'll tell you, Daniel, one of the coolest things about this book, and there's so many cool things about it, but one thing...
Including the recipes, I got to say that much.
Now I'm going to have people writing in for recipes. Thank you. So, no, but we are doing something that has never, ever been done in publishing history with Get Motivated, and that is at the end of every chapter, there are 16 chapters, at the end of every single chapter, we give the reader free gifts. And some of the things that we offer are personal coaching. We've got webinars, podcasts. We've got tickets to our Get Motivated seminars. We've got celebrity articles and interviews and best-selling book summaries. We've got things for your children to help them get motivated. The list goes on and on. It's over $1,200 of free gifts. Another kind of interesting thing with Get Motivated is that we are donating 100% of the proceeds. Every penny of the author royalties is going to children's charities. And we've partnered with 30 children's charities, everybody from World Vision to Toys for Tots, Operation Smile. And so all of the proceeds are benefiting the kids. So we're really thrilled about that.
Yeah, that's the wonderful thing when you're able to go out there and when everybody's motivated towards something, it's amazing just how much can get done with what seems to be so little effort because you're really enjoying what it is you're doing. As you told the story about your son, I think that he not only enjoyed doing his homework, but it became very easy, and that became its own reward by itself.
Absolutely, and that's what I've noticed, too, with working with all of these celebrities over the years. My life is really filled with amazing people. I've worked face-to-face with 5 U.S. presidents and Super Bowl winning coaches and quarterbacks, Hollywood elite, really the movers and shakers, the business leaders, the most admired people of our time. And I can tell you with absolute authority that successful people are not successful by accident. They don't get lucky. They get motivated. The more motivated you are, the better you're going to do in life. You're going to make more money, have more satisfying relationships, enjoy a better quality of life. It's just a better life. But it all begins with motivation. It comes back to that. You can have all the talent and intelligence and education in the world, but if you're not motivated, you won't do anything with that stuff.
That's what I noticed, too, when you think about a really interesting business model, which you were mentioning earlier in the program about network marketing, is that when you get involved in these, it's interesting how some stories you'll hear a guy that just exploded and in 6 months he's making 6 figures, and then here's this other person who's been in it 6 years doing believably everything they're supposed to, and they're lucky if they're making $500 a month. What do you think the difference is if the system is the same?
Well, there's so many variables. Just running a business myself, I've been a business owner for decades, and there are so many things that you have to do right. And if any one of those little pieces goes awry, it can upset the whole system. So, it really is important to surround yourself with people who are smart, preferably people who are smarter than you, preferably people who can fill in the gaps for where you're weak, because all of us are good at things and there's, other areas where we're weak. And so we need to have people who fill in the gaps for us. So I think that's a big key.
I know when you talk about the areas that we're weak in, I finally decided my New Year's resolution is that I was going to give myself a year to end procrastination. So,
how's that working out for you?
well, I got another 9 months to go, so we'll see how it goes.
We're going to have to wait and see.
Exactly. Now here's something that I really like too is you talk about that there are 3 needs that pretty much all of us have. Let's talk about those.
The 3 needs that all of us have. Help me out here. What are you looking at?
That's affiliation, achievement, and authority.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And we can be reasonably happy if we have 2 of those 3 needs met, but to really be firing on all pistons, we have to have all 3 of these areas working in harmony in our lives. And like I talk about in the book that if you are in a work situation that is incompatible with your motivational type, you can be reasonably productive, but you will not really be truly fulfilled. And that's why it's really so important to understand what makes you tick. And most people don't know it. Based on my research, I can tell you that only about 15% of people know what they are motivated by.
You can tell by how many people are at jobs that they just can't stand.
Yeah, and they're kind of locked in there and feel sort of trapped. And, that's not the quality of life that any of us want. That's why I say the more you invest in learning how to motivate yourself and others, the better your life will be.
Just as the late, great R. Buckminster Fuller would say, the more people that I serve in this world, the more effective I become. And certainly going to a job that you really don't enjoy, where you're literally just serving yourself, you can see the frustration there because you really don't feel that you're contributing something with your day.
And, I think that is really what we're going to find is one of the great benefits of the economic climate that we find ourselves in is that people are really taking time to reevaluate and say, is this what I want to do? Now, some people are being forced to reevaluate and decide what they're going to do in sort of the next phase of their life. But I think that people are consciously thinking, what do I want for myself? And in the end, I think that that's going to pan out in our favor. I really do. The more that people really hone in, focus in on what their giftings are and what it's going to take for them to make a contribution and be happy and all of that, the better. The better it is for them and the better it is for society.
Absolutely. For those of you just tuning in, we're talking with Tamara Lowe and her book, Get Motivated. And this is how you can overcome any obstacle, achieve any goal, and accelerate your success with Motivational DNA. And for those just joining us, Tamara, remind them or us what the DNA stands for.
All right. My book, Get Motivated, is based on an 8-year study that my team and I did with 10,000 people, and we discovered a success code. It's called Motivational DNA. It stands for drives, needs, and awards. And in the same way that your genetic DNA dictates how tall you are and the color of your hair, your motivational DNA dictates how you're best motivated. We all have it, but most of us don't know how to unlock that achievement code, and that's what Get Motivated does. By the way, Daniel, I've got great news, 2 pieces of great news I want to share with you and your listeners. Number 1 is that yesterday, one of my charity partners, all of the proceeds from Get Motivated are going to children's charities. One of my charity partners, World Vision, did a luncheon in Sacramento at our Get Motivated seminar, and I interviewed Rudy Giuliani for that. He actually wrote the foreword for my book, by the way, and it is stellar. Anyway, the good news is that as a result of that lunch that we did for 250 influential leaders in the community, thousands of children in Ethiopia are going to have medical care, education, food, clothing, shelter. So we're really thrilled about the contributions the book is able to make in that way. Secondly, I got news that next week, Get Motivated will hit the New York Times bestseller list, and I'm thrilled about that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
well, you get to have all the fun, don't you?
Get Motivated is already number 1 on Amazon. It's number 2 on the Wall Street Journal, number 2 on the USA Today bestseller list, and so now we just hit the New York Times list. So I encourage everybody to go out and get it because Get Motivated is a fantastic book. It really delivers. And furthermore, it's going to help the kids.
Very much. That's the good thing, is that you're actually doing something that serves people rather than takes things away from them, which I certainly applaud you for. Now, as I was reading the book, there were some things in here that I really enjoyed and that I believe in, and this could even go for people who are in those jobs that they just feel miserable. And again, as anybody who's not happy really is only serving themselves, and that's probably one of the reasons they are unhappy, is because they don't feel a sense of contribution outside of getting a paycheck. But you were talking about, or you have in your book, 7 career builders and 1 gigantic career killer. And I'd like to talk about that, because there is so much that makes sense that if you started just doing these things, you might unlock what it is that motivates you and the goals and the dreams and desires that you want to have fulfilled, and find ways through using this book that you can move toward those. And the first one you have here is be enthusiastic about every task, especially the unpleasant ones. That is big.
No question. And as a business owner, I even see it in my own staff, that the ones who sort of begrudgingly take the unpleasant tasks, they're not around for long, because we replace them with somebody else who's going to be excited about every task. And you want to do that, because that distinguishes you from 99.9% of people in the workforce. It guarantees your promotion.
Mm-hmm. And I'm absolutely sure about that, because I know that I've been in jobs where it's like, if you don't want to be here, go home. Well, I need a paycheck. Well, we don't need you to be around if this is how you're going to be, And it stands out like a sore thumb, very much.
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing, too, that you have on here on your list is when you open your mouth, say something worthwhile. Now, for all of you gossipers out there, start thinking about this one real hard.
Yeah, I always say gossip is halitosis of the mind. What you've hit on here, you're talking about the 7 career builders and 1 gigantic career killer. Publishers Weekly gave us a really glowing review of Get Motivated, and that was one of the things that they zeroed in on. Is in the book we have a goal achievement blueprint. And, one of the things that really bothered me about being in my field, to say you're a motivational speaker, that's, it just sounds sort of so cheesy, because there's so much cheesy stuff out there in the motivational realm. And, I don't like that. I don't like hype and, kind of what the industry has sort of come to represent.
Well, Tamara, just on that real quick, too, that was what I was talking about earlier about the books out there. Everybody's got a strategy or a secret, and then you go and you buy this and realize, well, you just said the same thing somebody else did. Instead of what you did, let's just do it, and here's how you do it, kind of a thing.
Right, absolutely. For a while there, everybody's talking about the law of attraction, and
we beat up on that a little bit.
What? I don't believe in the law of attraction. I believe in the law of action.
Exactly.
You've got to do something tangible. If you just sit around attracting stuff, I don't think so. So, that was one of the things I wanted to do with Get Motivated, too, is, I wanted to write a good book, a book that people are going to enjoy reading, that they're going to have value out of, not, more of the same old, work smarter, not harder, and, have a positive attitude. And, I don't want to spend $2 on that. I don't, So that's, I think, kind of another distinction of the book, is it really is providing solid value. The cover of Business Week this week says that, and I agree with this, is that if you want to stay in business, you're going to have to bend over backwards. You're going to have to provide more value, so much value that your customer is going to have to pinch themselves to believe it. And that's what we do in our seminars. We have these dynamic events. We keep the prices low. We have the best speakers, the best production. That's what we do in the book, Get Motivated. We give you so much value that it's almost unreal.
Well, and there's no doubt about that. When you talk about, especially for people who are either in small businesses and they're worried about the economy, my wife and I, we produce this show together, and she's very highly motivated, believe me. She doesn't have to get up in the morning, but she does, and she does this. And we talk quite a bit about the business, about what we can do. Now, it's interesting because people will use something like a bad economy as the reason that money isn't coming through the door, and then you finally take a look or an inventory, well, What have you done in the last week to do something about that? And, well, I've been sitting around eating Cheetos and listening to the radio. Well, that stands to reason. Another one was a time about 4 or 5 years ago when we started our business. 5 years now, see, just to let the listeners know, when they say that 99% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years, well, we were the 1% that succeeded. That's what we demanded of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And the point is that as she was talking about sales, she had worked for a newspaper where people tend to sit around in the summertime because that's when sales were slow. And I said, be that person that changes that breaks that belief, that paradigm, and she completely did that. So it's all in the mind. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, you have, some people are going to let this economy paralyze them. You know, I'll tell you something that your listeners may not have suspected to this point, and I hope that they haven't, but that is that I'm a former drug addict, dropout, and dealer with an 8th grade education. So I could have spent my whole life using that as an excuse for failure. And some people do that, but listen, everybody's got their sad story, Daniel. Don't tell me your sad story. I got one of my own, so does everybody else on the planet, You can't use that as a lifetime excuse for failure. Mm-hmm. And in this economy, some people are going to use that as an excuse for failure. And they're going to say, I can't control the whole economy. Guess what? You can control your own economy.
Exactly.
Yes, you absolutely can. And mark my words, Daniel, some people in this economy are going to get stinking, filthy, blue blood rich in this economy.
I agree with you, too. I mean, it happened during the Great Depression, and with everything that I've been reading, I'm like, what I really hate is that I'm not in a position to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are out there right now. I mean, but you see it all around you, opportunity, and that all comes from working on yourself. I believe it was Jim Rohn who said, work harder on yourself than you do at your job.
That's right. If you work at your job, you'll make a living, but if you work on yourself, you can make a fortune.
I agree with you. Well, Tamara, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the program today, and I want you to go ahead and give out a website and tell people what they can find there and where they'll find out where these seminars are going on throughout the year, I'm sure.
Sure, absolutely. The website is getmotivatedbook.com, getmotivatedbook.com. Now, when you go on there, be sure and take the Motivational DNA test. It's going to take you less than 5 minutes. It'll tell you exactly how you are wired to be inspired. And this stuff works. I mean, I am getting emails by the moment of people who are telling me they're losing weight and they're starting their businesses and they quit smoking and their kids are motivated. It's just crazy. So you want to take that test. You can read the first chapter of the book online there as well. You can find out our seminar schedule at getmotivated.com. So there's all kinds of cool stuff that you'll see on the website. I encourage you to go there. Pick up the book. All the money is going to children's charities. Get motivated.
Not to mention great recipes.
You know what? I'm going to have to post something on my blog now. I'm going to give you a recipe on my blog.
Well, it was just, food for taking care of the body. I remember that. So it was just, I thought that was when you said it was like, 4 books or 5 books in one. I said, yeah, including a cookbook, because I remember catching that and going, well, that's something you don't see in a motivation book every day, So I just wanted to applaud you for that. Not to mention that when you buy this book, again, all the proceeds go to what?
Go to children's charities. We've got World Vision, Operation Smile, Toys for Tots, Youth with a Mission, Teen Challenge. We have children's hospitals. We have a great charity. It's called Project Hope, and they rescue children, little girls in Thailand out of the sex trade. I mean, just amazing stuff that these folks are doing, and it is such a delight to support these causes.
It certainly is, because that is our next generation that we're taking care of to make sure that we continue with the work that we're trying to get done today. So, again, the book, folks, is Get Motivated, and I want to thank Tamara Lowe for joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program. Again, Tamara, it was a pleasure to have you.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Take care. So pick up a copy and get motivated. Get those goals achieved. Forget about the bad economy. The only economy that's bad is the economy between your ears, so get it working. Be sure to also visit us at our website at beyond50radio.com. That's the number 50 with a 50, and sign up for our free weekly e-newsletter. It's free. Hey, You got to start somewhere. And be sure to shoot us an email. We welcome your questions or comments about the Beyond 50 Radio Show. Just shoot me a simple email, daniel@beyond50radio.com. Thank you again for tuning in. You've been listening to the Beyond 50 Radio program. I'm Daniel Davis, and remember, live your day past halfway.